Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. On a treacherously political day, when West Bengal is polling and the last phase and the polling almost ending, senior Congress leader Rahul Gandhi today launched a sharp attack on the centre's Great Nicobar infrastructure project, describing it as one of the biggest scams and gravest crimes against the natural and tribal heritage of the country. Now, in a social media post after visiting Great Nicobar, the leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha said, and I'm quoting him exactly what he wrote in his tweet, "I traveled throughout the Great Nicobar today. These are the most extraordinary forests I have ever seen in my life. Trees older than memory, forests that took generations to grow. The people on this island are equally beautiful, both the Adivasi communities and the settlers, but they are being robbed of what is rightfully theirs." Now, criticizing the scale of the proposed development, Rahul Gandhi said that the government calls what it is doing here a project. "What I have seen is not a project. It is millions of trees marked for the axe. It is 160 square kilometer of rainforest condemned to die. It is communities that have been ignored while their homes have been snatched away. This is not development. This is destruction dressed in development's language." This is exactly what he wrote. In fact, he's also done a video, and his video has been watched by lakhs and lakhs of people, and number of people have retweeted that video. And further on, he also says that, "So I will say it plainly and I will keep saying it. What is being done in Great Nicobar is one of the biggest scams and gravest crimes against this country's natural and tribal heritage in our lifetime." Now, let's talk about this Great Nicobar project. What is the government planning? The government plans to spend about 81,000 crores in this Great Nicobar infrastructure project. They are supposed to be coming up with a transshipment terminal. They are going to come up with a port. They are going to come up with a township. And what everyone is seeing through is that apparently this is for the benefit of no one but the Adani group. So we'll try and discuss this. First of all, the significance of this video coming on a day when West Bengal goes to polls. What is the significance of this particular video which has been put out by Rahul Gandhi? We'll try and understand that. And what does it mean as far as the ecological and the environmental disaster is concerned? We'll also look at various other infrastructure projects which are coming up in the country and how they are a hazard for India's environment, which no one is talking about. So does Rahul Gandhi bring the discourse on environment and ecology on the center stage? Joining me this evening is political analyst, columnist, author, and former spokesperson of the Congress Party, Sanjay Jha, joins us this evening. And thank you so much, Sanjay, for joining. And the moment I saw Rahul Gandhi's video, and I was wondering that why Rahul Gandhi released this video today when West Bengal was going to polls. Some would say that everyone is talking about what is going to happen in Bengal, and here Rahul Gandhi changes the track and brings to the forefront the discourse on environment and ecology and what's happening to the Great Nicobar project.
Neelu, good evening. Wonderful to be back on your program again. The issue of ecology or the environment is frankly beyond an election cycle. And this is going to be a significant challenge for the country. We will get into the Great Nicobar project, and it's likely highly dangerous consequences for India's environmental health. But just look at one data point, which I think everybody's talking about these days, is that roughly 95 of the 100 hottest cities in the world is in India. It's telling you a significant message of how vulnerable we are as a community, or how susceptible we are as a society to any kind of climate change. Now, let's go back to this Great Nicobar project. You talked about an investment of how much?
81,000
roughly.
81,000
crores. Let me tell you, the population of Andaman and Nicobar as a whole probably is around 4 lakhs. The entire Andaman and Nicobar is 4 lakhs. That particular area that you're talking about would be probably in thousands. That may not be even in the entire Andaman and Nicobar Islands, because it's scattered over several smaller islands. Now, here is the point. if that is an investment going, which is going to affect at a maximum 4 lakh people, think about the fact that Mumbai, whose population is around 24 million, has an annual budget of around what, 50,000 crores. I mean, can you see the enormity or the asymmetrical nature of what's going on? Again, the bigger point, why would you require in Andaman and Nicobar, anybody who does any basic research will tell you that it is primarily, obviously, a tribal population. And it has like several very exclusive species. It's a marvel in biodiversity. I mean, if you are going to fell, and I don't know what the exact numbers are today, but when I read last, they were looking at targeting approximately close to 1 million trees to be felled down. And to what purpose? I mean, these are the questions that anybody will ask. And I can tell you one thing, Nilu, that it's not just the hottest heat wave that we're experiencing, which tells you it's obviously happening because India is frankly losing its forest and green cover. Look at another interesting data point. If you look at how much of the forest cover India has lost over the course of the last maybe decade or even a little more, you're losing forest cover equivalent to around 13,000 square kilometers every day. That's the number I have. 13,000 square kilometers. That's equivalent to, mini or a small state. It tells you of the kind of risks we are running as a country. And I definitely feel that if Rahul Gandhi has brought up this Great Nicobar environmental high-risk project into play, which is going to convert an extraordinarily beautiful island where it is inhabited by very few people, which has got its own green covers, beautiful forests, and you're going to make that into create what, an international airport. Obviously, there will then be some degree of hotels coming up and use the pretext of tourism and airports, and down the line obviously you'll find the big corporate crony capitalists starting their own enterprises there. Don't be surprised if it even has data server companies coming up there. So clearly this government has zero interest or comprehension or understanding of what's good for the common people of this country. Before I take your next question, one last point. End of day, the tragedy for India's population, all of us as citizens, when you are governed by a political formation that only looks at elections, can go to an SIR to win an election, can subvert the entire institutional process to win an election, then all of us are extremely at high risk of being subjected to climate change catastrophes over the coming decades. And I hope the future generations are watching what is going on today.
I also want to talk about a tale of two pictures which we saw. Of course, one is Rahul Gandhi's video of he going through the rainforests of the Great Nicobar area, where he showed how the ecology was being played around. And the other picture is of Prime Minister Modi today at the Kashi Vishwanath temple. He's praying and he's performing the rituals, holding a trishul and a damru, and then he's doing a photo shoot as well. People could see how he was. I mean, what would you really say? And comparisons are very, very, natural for the people to make. So here you have a leader of the opposition who's talking about the Great Nicobar project, and here on the other side you have a prime minister who holds the trishul and the damru. What would you say to the priorities of the two leaders?
Well, it's pretty obvious. I'm sure your viewers who have heard a very pertinent question from you will know where your priorities are. The fact that India is one of the hottest countries, which, by the way, is not just a question of heat. It means how much of a damage it's going to do to agriculture. What does it mean in terms of water security, right? I mean, the kind of devastation is going to cause to harvestation. I mean, there are going to be huge costs being paid for this. I mean, I'm sure there are many people who are affected by it. I mean, official productivity levels come down when you face extreme climate or weather conditions. I don't think Mr. Modi really cares for all of it. I mean, after all, he won the narrative of the election on being that very humble, the humble origins, the chaiwala narrative helped him become prime minister. But after that, as we have discovered, he's more of a emperor, right? He's more like a Shahenshah in a Rajtantra. There is no Loktantra in our country. Yahan to Rajtantra hai. So he's like an emperor. Let's accept that. I mean, look at the way he's got a swag. I mean, everything is about him. I mean, I can't imagine a prime minister in the history of politics worldwide since the world began who's such a megalomaniac that there is so much of money spent to put him all over. I see him everywhere. And I'm like, bro, I've seen you for 12 years. And he's on the front page cover of all the newspapers, all the hoardings everywhere. I mean, it's absolutely bizarre. So, I mean, absolutely, Mr. Modi, I don't think he cares for all of it. It's good that Rahul Gandhi is fighting the right fight. Truth be said, I really don't haven't been there to Andaman and Nicobar to this specific project. But if Rahul Gandhi is telling you there's 160 square kilometers that are vulnerable to this kind of deforestation, a rainforest is frankly everywhere abroad is a tourism adventure for people to go to a rainforest to see birds, to see animals, to just experience being under the shade. And here we are bringing it down to create what? Power plants, give Adani some kind of an airport to manage, create some hotels where some crony will come in and do some kind of a launch with.
No, but what is your feeling, Sanjay, that is this great Nicobar project only going to help people like Adani? And is it for Adani especially that this great Nicobar project is being done up?
Well, let me tell you, I think, we keep talking of Adani, but Mr. Modi has got a coterie of industrialists who are feeding off him. And you look at those people who have got contracts in the defense sector, a lot of them really are crony capitalists. And they include, frankly, Adani, the Ambanis, of course, these two are the dominant faces. But there are others. There are Tatas, there are Mahindras. There are many groups which are really in the game. Recently, you even had a case of Vedanta taking on Adani, but Vedanta also has been a beneficiary of this government. So it is a nexus at play. But think about it, right? Go back to Aravali issue. One of India's oldest mountain structures or systems, and look at how that itself was being so brazenly taken over by government policies. And until everybody protested and the Supreme Court had to do a U-turn, you realize that even there, in broad daylight, there was a takeover happening. So I think what we are not understanding here is this, that when it comes to corporates, they're driven to fulfill the expectations of shareholders and the owners, obviously. Now, for them, things like ecology, environment, water security, quality of air, they matter, but they don't matter too much. For them, money at any cost really matters. Why do you think India is facing the kind of environmental challenge it is? Look at the ranking of India on the Environmental Performance Index, EPI. India ranks, it was at lowest in the world, lowest at 188. And I think it's come up now to 186.
Yes.
Maybe we should be thrilled with that. It's absolutely abysmal.
In fact, Sanjay, what you're saying, leads me to another question. And I'm just wondering what Prime Minister Modi's advisors actually tell him. Now, if you look at the topography of this entire area, these are dense tropical rainforests with mangrove systems, coral reefs, nesting beaches, and it is also a seismically active zone. And of course, because it shapes things like earthquakes, tsunamis, and cyclones, and nobody can forget ever what happened in 2004. Now, is Prime Minister Modi not worried about these things, except that he has to benefit the cronies, the crony capitalists, and therefore he comes up with a huge project called the Great Nicobar project?
See, Mr. Modi, if you follow politics, he loves to go for scale, right? Gigantic, supernatural, big. Demonetization was big. Suddenly the whole country came to a standstill. Everything is about scale. He loves that melodramatic impact because he's discovered that we love big size, hyper-kinetic soap operas. He feeds into that and he encourages it. Now think about it logically. if you and I were the prime minister and we found India under this heat wave, the first thing you would do is to call your ministers and say, guys, let's focus on how to keep this country green and cool. And for that, we'll have to make adjustments, compromises, maybe tax some people heavier. But we got to change this because the future generations are going to pay a huge price. And a lot of the future generations are hopefully going to watch your program. That's your Gen Alpha or even Gen Z, who are going to be at some point leading this country forward. Now, they should be worried. They should be extremely worried. I'm telling you something, Nilu, in all fairness, please do not look at this great Nicobar project in isolation. Juxtapose that with the hottest cities in the world and also to the most polluted cities in the world. I mean, and these are, by the way, not just the big cities. Please let me point that out. Today, the hottest cities are not just the metropolitan or the cosmopolitan cities. They have now spread into the interiors of India, which means the interiors of India, which were earlier expected to be more rural, more green, less impacted by industrialization and therefore not really infiltrated by too much of infrastructure, were meant to be more natural in terms of their living conditions. Even they are actually facing what I would call is a structural ecological erosion. In these circumstances, what Rahul Gandhi says is not about politics. I think he's doing what I believe a leader should do, is to talk about the country as a whole in a bipartisan way, because even a bhakt who's watching your program or a fanatical Modi, Todi, whoever it is, needs to worry. Rahul Gandhi is fighting for you. And this is the language a prime minister should be speaking. But, Mr. Modi will come on some podium in the next couple of days, sponsored by some big industrialists. He will use a prepared teleprompter to say India needs to be green. And suddenly that will be the headline. And everybody else will believe, you know what? Modi ji is so environmental friendly. You see, in a country where we have begun to applaud a headline, one tweet, and some kind of a speech, and we don't get into the details, then we are going to definitely pay a price for that. And I want to make one point before you come to your next question. I was opening today's newspapers, the pink papers, and I want to link this to your questions that you've asked of me today. Did you read that? Google is apparently planning to make a $15 billion investment in AI data centers. Okay, let me point this out for the benefit of your viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, watching Nilu's very popular program, the AI data centers are going to bleed our country by actually taking away our water, our natural resources, which is what water is. It's going to heat up this country. It's going to destroy the environment. And we will not be creating jobs, what you have been told. In fact, our atmospheric temperatures will rise because data centers consume a lot of electricity and they need to be cooled at a very high level. And for that, they need even more electricity. And what we are finding is that Indian government under the current leadership is inviting, as we saw during that whole Galgotia,
the AI summit,
in the entire stand-up performance, that end of day we are inviting open AI and Amazon and whatever Perplexity. We are inviting Claude. We are inviting all the biggies into India for AI data centers. And these guys in America, the big tech guys, are using countries like ours to actually use our resources for nothing, just to feed into their code, just to feed into their entire AI, machines where they're going to make huge monies. By the way, let me tell you, AI companies are valued at trillions of dollars. How many jobs can you create in a data center? I'm going to give you one example. I have a friend, by the way, who lives in Hyderabad. And he called and told me that he's worried because in the cities, it's not even happening away from the cities. They're creating data centers. And these big guys, Adani, Ambani, and all these guys are going to create data centers because they have enough money to buy land, to create the because this is nothing but digital infrastructure. There are no brains required for it. They will make money because these guys will pay them. India and the Indian citizens are going to pay through the nose. And we're going to be suffering enormously, not just with heat, but with the fact that it's going to destroy India's ecology at such a fast rate that by the time we complain and realize what it will be, I think Mr. Modi and the whole government will be out of power for 20 years. It'll be too late. It's an early warning, and I would like to say that.